The AI DeepSeek story went from extreme FUD to AI on crack. Let's break it down through a few important news stories, starting with some commentary from the Scale AI CEO, Alexander Wang.
It has been true for a long time that the United States has been ahead. And that's been true for, maybe the past decade. That being said, the very recent event on Christmas Day, about a month ago, DeepSeek released a model, which, by the way, I think is symbolic that the Chinese lab releases, an earth-shattering model on Christmas Day when, the rest of us are sort of celebrating the holiday. And they released it to much fanfare, and then they followed up with their reasoning model, DeepSeek R1, which is the one that we evaluated as top of the leaderboard. The reality is yes and no. So the Chinese labs, they have more H100s than people think.
And these are the highest powered NVIDIA chips that they were not supposed to have.
Yes. My understanding is that DeepSeek has about 50,000 H100s, which they can't talk about, obviously, because it is against the export controls that the United States has put in place. And I think it is true that, I think they have more chips than other people expect, but also on a go-forward basis, they are going to be limited by the chip controls and the export controls that we have in place.
So what he's highlighting is that DeepSeek was built and created and achieved its level of success using chips they never should have had, the best of the best, provided by NVIDIA, gotten through illegal paths of procurement. And that brings us to our next story, Donald Trump talking and reacting to the DeepSeek news.
The release of DeepSeek AI from a Chinese company should be a wake-up call for our industries that we need to be laser-focused on competing to win. This is very unusual when you hear a DeepSeek, when you hear somebody come up with something. We always have the ideas. We're always first. So I would say that's a positive. That could be very much a positive development. So instead of spending billions and billions, you'll spend less and you'll come up with, hopefully, the same solution.
Now, what I want to highlight here is that Donald Trump isn't going to keep his hands off of anything. And ultimately, he has a very strong America First agenda, which I believe is ultimately going to cause more attention and more eyes to be put on companies like Intel and AMD. Now, that's not the main focus of this video today, but I have been giving new trade alerts on those two companies in the Stocks with Josh Discord because it's time to start looking at those names. If AMD comes down a little bit more, it's going to be 52% off of its all-time highs. And I think that the company has huge opportunity in 2025, especially with a pro-growth, pro-America First president. So Donald Trump is going to chime in. I think that what he understood and the way that he painted it was that this was a good thing, that bringing costs down was a good thing, and that none of us should be concerned about it because all that will do is allow more people to participate in the AI story. I've been saying it and I'll say it again. AI is just a baby.
It's just a baby.
But you still had to say, okay, Mom.
It's just a baby.
That's right. But let's get some additional commentary from the CEO of NVIDIA himself because he reacted to this news and he put everybody's focus on where it needed to be. Now, there was no reason whatsoever to get thrown off of your investment plan based on this news story, guys. I'm going to get to the comments here in just a second, the CEO's comments. I just want to say this is why we talked about being patient with gap down or even gap ups. You want to give the market some time to react to the news. And this is actually what we've been waiting for so far since the middle of December when the markets began to turn down. We were waiting for these awesome prices. I hope you were prepared to buy. Those with me in the Stocks with Josh Discord, we bought and we're up very nicely. I'll get to that in a minute as well. But what did the CEO of NVIDIA have to say? Well, let me quote him exactly. DeepSeek is an excellent AI advancement. I thought that was very fair. He also went on to say, and a perfect example of test time scaling. Well, it's important to understand what that is. DeepSeek's work illustrates how new models can be created using that technique, leveraging widely available models and compute that is fully export control compliant. The inference here is that it requires significant numbers of NVIDIA GPUs and high performance networking. So what he's saying is all they did was build upon the success that we've laid through these chips and through American ingenuity. This has been them taking advantage of it and building upon it. It isn't anything to be afraid of, because all this is going to do is show people how fast growing and fast moving the AI space is going to be, and it's going to incentivize them even more to load up on high-end NVIDIA chips. Because how did DeepSeek pull it off? Well, they only pulled it off with NVIDIA's chips. And it took a lot of them. So the fact is, this was a huge FUD story and a huge buying opportunity for us. And before I even get into the NVIDIA chart and more other details that you guys are going to want to know, let me just comment that we went into this week knowing that there was going to be a lot of big market moving events, such as big tech's earnings, which are absolutely going to impact investor sentiment. If these companies are giving good forward guidance and they're performing well, then 2025 is going to continue to be a profitable year. So we have to go through that. Then tomorrow, we're going to get the Fed. Jay Powell is going to talk. We're going to get an interest rate decision, which will be no cut. But more importantly, we're going to see if the Fed goes to war with Trump, because sparks will fly and we know Trump will respond. And then after that, we've got big data this week with GDP numbers coming out, as well as PCE and core PCE coming out, which the markets will have to take into account. This has already been a volatile week, and I guarantee you we've got more volatility ahead, but it's setting up in some cases for some incredible scalps, and in other cases, some incredible long-term investment opportunities, and we're doing both. This is the Stocks with Josh show. Thank you for joining me. Let me just highlight some of the trade setups that I provided this morning. They were very successful. I hope that you have the courage to take the trade. I talk a lot about it. It's really not that hard. I give you two trend lines. You set them both on your chart, and all you have to do is enter calls or puts, or maybe you take the shares, or maybe you take an ETF version that's 2x bull or 2x bear. But all you have to do is take the trade if the price is crossed on the trend line that I give you. Let's talk about a couple that absolutely were winners today. One of them, Meta, to the upside. This thing has just been running, which is something I've been talking about in every video. We haven't even gotten to their earnings yet, and it's still running, making all-time highs. At the 2 videos back, I believe, I talked about Meta, and I talked about it getting up to 650, then 660, and here we are above 670, and we're climbing. This was a trade setup that absolutely produced a huge win today. The other one was NVIDIA. The trade alert was to enter puts when the price crossed below $119.50, and that we should be able to take that down to at least 116. We got pretty close to that, and then we popped. Now, it was at that point that I turned around and provided a long-term trade alert to the upside on leaps for NVIDIA. Now, if you want more details on that, come and check out the Leaps channel in the Stocks with Josh Discord. This is where we're looking at option leaps. These are buy and hold, and I know how retail loves to get into leveraged assets like options, but the problem is they often overtrade them, selling them when they should be buying them and buying them when they should be selling them. This is the Leaps channel, which allows you to focus on stocks that I believe have gotten to a point where they're investable and they'll have more upside in 2025 than perhaps downside. But there is no guarantee, but we have been very patient with these coming down to the prices that we wanted to buy them at, and so it makes sense taking risk here. NVIDIA finally got to that $116 level that I've been talking about since the middle of December. We got there, and you know what? We stuck with our trade plan, and we entered some long-term investments on it. Now, AMD was another one of my trade setups, but it never triggered. But I did give a trade alert for it because I think between now and the end of this week, we very likely could get that ideal price range to go long, which at the moment I'm saying is potentially beneath $110. I want to be in it going long. That, if it came down to $109, would be a 52% discount from the all-time highs. And I'm just going to say it again and again and again. Trump's America First agenda is going to put eyes, attention, and opportunity and benefits on companies like AMD and Intel. All right, and then Tesla was a huge win. This was for the price on puts below 394 all the way down to 389. A huge win opportunity, and then we've had a little bit of a bounce there. And I think going into this week and going into earnings, Tesla is at the moment holding up and consolidating pretty well in this range between 370 and 400, and it could be setting up for a move higher. You'll get more alerts on Tesla this week in the Stocks with Josh Discord. Don't sleep on it. You can find it by going to the website, which is the name of the show, www.stockswithjosh.com. Sign up there, get into the Discord where you can trade live with me on Wednesdays and Fridays in the top tier. Okay, let's just wrap things up by taking a peek at the NVIDIA chart and what is it telling us. Let's go take a look and see. Well, I just want to highlight a couple important things. Now, we did show some patience, but when we got these 3 candles that came down in this range and each one produced a little bounce, when we got to 116, it made sense to take some risk here because we don't have any guarantee that we'll stay down here very long. But let me point out another reason, which is a bullish structure right here, which is a W candle pattern, okay? W for the win. Now, what we need to see happen is we need to see price tomorrow get above 128. And if we see that happen, then this W pattern will confirm. Now we want to see a candle open and close above 128, and that's going to confirm a pretty quick move back to $135. That will be our target. I also want to point out down here on the MACD how we had this crossover, and that happened pre-market this morning. And that's why we took this call to the upside after we got a couple green candles. We took it to the upside. We're going for the big W win to play out and get us at least back to $135. That's what I'm seeing at the moment. Now, I do need to warn you. Like I said, the Fed is talking tomorrow, and this could bring some sparks to Wall Street. In addition to that, we've got big data. GDP will tell us if the economy is slowing down. GDP is expected to come out lower, so the market's already priced that in. However, if it comes out lower than they expected, well, that will cause stocks to sell off. If it comes out higher than they expected, it could cause a stronger rally. We also have the PCE and the core PCE, which is the Fed's preferred inflation gauge. The core PCE is expected to come out flat, but if that ticks up, could be a big problem as well, as people will panic and they'll expect that the Fed might actually raise rates instead of cutting rates in 2025. So this week is going to offer us more money-making opportunities, and we're going to be watching stocks that have finally gotten back to levels, and we're not going to be afraid to take risk because we're taking it with a trade plan and we're taking risk as price moves to key levels of support. Now, we're going to run with stop losses, which means that if those key levels of support end up getting broken through, we're going to have to let things go. But at the moment, this is when, for me, I feel comfortable taking risk. We're working the plan. I appreciate you guys joining me. Hit the subscribe button if you need help with these types of decisions. If you need these types of predictions and you need to better learn the charts, then you can do it with me. I try to make a video every day. I'm engaged in the Stocks with Josh Discord where you can get active trade alerts. Come check it out. If it's not me talking to you, it's going to be one of my crowned traders. They're doing an excellent job, and we cover a lot of different things from crypto to penny stocks to long-term investments to daily day trading scalps to build your wealth over time. Appreciate you guys. Hit that like and subscribe. Peace and blessings. See you in the Discord.